podcast focused on trends shaping the future of manufacturing. I'm Alexandria Burek, your host, here with A.W. Schultz, two thought leaders with a passion for people and manufacturing. Today and every episode, we are diving deep into the advancements, sustainable practices, and dynamic changes transforming how we produce everything.
And now welcome Alexandria Burek and A.W. Schultz.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Factory of the Future. I'm here with A.W. Schultz and I'm Alexandria Burek. Today, we're going to be talking about all things data centers in the ocean, data centers in space, and data centers on Earth. So, A.W., why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Thank you, Alexandra. And I guess the question maybe people ask, like, what does this data center have to do with manufacturing or the future? And to me, and maybe you too, it's about energy. And this concept, especially when we talk about the evolution of the different industries and how we're doing things, data centers in the ocean is a very interesting concept that, honestly, for me, up to about a month ago, was somewhat new. And I had to, when I was approached by it, asked about it, I had to look it up immediately. I had my computer, had to open it up and check it out. And I find out that in 2018, just a little bit of history on it, Microsoft actually came forward and tested the first data center in the oceans off of Scotland. And these data centers, they look like they're about a small tractor trailer the size of, and they're a long cylinder. And they've got some width to it. But the thought is, you put them in the ocean, and as you know, data centers consume a lot of energy because they're working really hard and they're trying to keep cool, where the ocean has got a lot of cool water. So Microsoft did it for 4 years. They tested it in Scotland, and from the research that I get, it pretty much came out things were okay. But they didn't pursue it, and the research that I looked at, they haven't pursued it further at this point. However, China, or a company in China, has ran a test pilot in Hunan in 2022. Fabulous results on it, meaning I guess the data center didn't go down, or it was reliable, and they're launching a full operation of it outside Shanghai. And it fuels some of the AI boom when you think about ocean cooling. The idea is that they're really circling around. I think there is around the GP 3.5 and bringing it up to what they mean the levels that you want a data server to be. What that is, I'm not really sure, but I'm sure it's 100%. But what's also interesting on it, and if you're watching the video, you'll see some of the pictures of it. But you've also got these huge tubes that are in the bottom of the ocean. And, oh, by the way, what's running them? They've got wind turbines above them in the water. And it's, doing what wind turbines do. But it's what the records are showing. It's making them almost 97% efficient, which to me is really cool, because as we had talked in the past, in other episodes, on what one of the struggles is in some of the northern states, is they can't get these manufacturing sites built because of the energy draw. Mm-hmm. Where in this case, it's to me, it's like finding a $20 bill laying on the sidewalk. It seems like the perfect scenario. So, but one of the challenges that they're seeing is there's the regulatory hurdles. While there's the idea that these having these servers in the ocean can cause the ocean to raise in temp, and some of the data that was supporting it showed about it was less than 1 degree. in the locations that they were at. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but it's something that's being investigated about. The other thing is, how much does it cost to develop these massive things that to run them, and the efficiencies on the maintenance that has to go on to them. Because one of the things they do is, if it's something sits in the bottom of the ocean, it accumulates particles, build up on it. So at some frequencies, they're having to bring them up, wash them out, put them or maintenance on them, put them back down. And it sounds like that hasn't been solved to its fullest yet. So that's another one to watch out. And we've talked on other episodes about the law of innovation dimensions, where there's a lot of folks that are not easy to walk into this new idea, but when it's proven concept, everybody's in.
Yeah.
And I think that's another example of it, because to me it's just it seems so like preaching to the choir on the concept of it. There's free cooling out there, and to grasp that thought process.
Well, what I think is important for the consumers in general, right? Excuse me, is energy prices are rising because of the data centers need, because of EVs. We all know this stuff. If these data centers are self-sufficient or 97% self-sufficient in terms of their energy need, that reduces it eliminates the need from the power grid, right? So it's self-sustaining.
Yep.
So that means all the rest of the consumers in those areas wouldn't be squeezed for energy. What I think is also interesting, and what I've heard people talking about, is putting data centers in space. So kind of to your comment about wind energy and the cooling of the ocean, we could have data centers in space because it's very cold, so you could use that to cool the data centers or keep them at optimal temperature. And the sun is constantly shining in space, so you have 100% solar energy. I think that's probably pretty exciting, and I'm almost more excited about that than I would be about the ocean because of the environmental impact. Even if it's only 1 degree, that can be a pretty significant change to the ecosystem. I'd worry about the animals, or I guess wildlife, running into these things or getting sucked up into them or something like that, where I think in space you don't have that same concern. And the other thing is, if it's one data center, it's obviously not going to warm the ocean. But if we start putting in hundreds of data centers, I feel like that little 1 degree all of a sudden compounds, and then we've got a major problem on our hands. The other thing I heard about what China's doing with AI specifically is they're doing very targeted AI developments. And I was recently listening to a podcast about the ethics of AI. It was on Diary of a CEO's podcast. And there's a real warning sign going out about basically everybody's job being eliminated. So what China's doing, which is I think kind of surprising, interesting, and exciting, is they're hyper-focusing the AI possibilities into very specific lanes, not just doing the AGI, very general intelligence, kind of rushing to this end goal, which could be the end of humanity, but they're really just targeting it on health and different segments. So I think those are some of the interesting things, but I don't think we'll know the effects of the data centers in the ocean until, I hope not to say it's too late, but.
Yeah, to your point is, 1 degree is that's what they say is that's not going to meet. There's going to be changes globally. some other things I guess that are interesting is that they use the salt water. It runs through it, so it runs through these coils. It's not just sitting at the bottom. So that's why they need the energy to pump. Well, and the power to the actual servers. They do admit it does make it a slight warmer into the area. And I don't know how short term it is. I mean, I don't know. You want to take a bet on it, but I'm thinking if it's anything, it's creating new jobs, because you got somebody that's going to figure out this maintenance on this, because now you're just not focused on wasted energy. Now you're focused on reliability, because one of these things break, it's got to be. Well, honestly, it's probably catastrophic.
Well, I was going to ask
somebody else go grab it and put a new server in.
I was going to ask too. So I was recently on with AT&T because my internet was having some issues when I moved, and I learned that there's these like giant fiber cables that are run through the ocean to connect. If you're making international calls and all that stuff. So what I'm wondering is, did you find in your research how the data is transferred? Is it through fiber cables? Like, do we know?
I'm not sure. I'm going to say yes, because they're right. I'm not sure. But that's an interesting question. It's about, I think what you're leading to is that there's a whole new different realm of work that's underwater, and it could pay some future to what we see, especially in the evolution of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it is really exciting to think about and to watch some of this stuff unfold. At the same time, I'm cautiously observing and being hopefully realistic about how this will impact humanity, like AI in general, right? Like, not just talking about data centers. But I really do wonder what the impact will be 2, 5, 7, 10 years from now, because you keep hearing certain people say, oh, we're moving towards sustainable abundance, or, oh, work will be optional. And if you take that at face value, that sounds pretty cool. But then if you look at that a few layers deeper, I wonder, will my quality of life stay the same? Like, what will I have to do to keep my quality of life as it is now, or even make improvements? Like, if I aspire to have a better quality of life than I currently do now, is that going to be possible in the world of AI, where they plan to replace basically all of the white collar jobs as well as blue collar jobs? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do, and I think about it quite a bit, and we've talked about, like, everyone we say it's not going to take away, but I can't. There's a shift on it, and when I talked about these submerged data centers, I say there's another job that did not exist a couple of years ago.
Yeah. That's
got a whole new avenue to talk about. So I'm open to it. I mean, I was listening to the founders podcast, and he was doing a reading on the cargo containers, and I want probably an off-soft conversation with you, having some interest in the logistics part of it with those. And that was one of the biggest things that was happening in the pushback, was that, especially the unions in New York, is that we don't want these containers. We're taking work away from the people. In the meantime, New Jersey goes and they build these ports so things can become more efficient coming in and out. But people didn't go homeless over that, and that's just a recent one that comes to mind. And I think there's many other examples. So I keep a hen's eye on that, especially. It's just there's always seems to be something ever. So I mean, like, for me, I mean, I deal a lot with efficiencies and reliability, where that wasn't even a word in the 1960s. It was just get it off, get it fixed, get it out, let's go.
Very reactive,
yeah. And then it wasn't until the threat of big planes falling out of the air it became something that let's be concerned about it.
Yeah.
But that's my thought on it.
Well, I guess we'll stay tuned on the developments with the data centers in the oceans.
I just didn't want, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to be, I think we were one of the first ones to be talking about this because all the information we're finding is not coming from the U.S. And so circle back to Factory of the Future when you kind of want what's new and coming, because we're always out there looking for it. And, if you start seeing these big containers, they've got big Google logos on it, you know what you're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we clocking out?
We're clocking out like finished goods.
All right.
This is Factory of the Future, and we are out of here like finished goods. Stay tuned for our next episode of Factory of the Future, where we're exploring groundbreaking techniques and behaviors that are reshaping industrial landscapes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review and help others discover the cutting-edge insights transforming manufacturing as we know it.